I think we can start. Everything is ready.
Welcome everyone. This is the Wednesday seminar series on digital agriculture, jointly being hosted by Agriculture Global Practice and the Disruptive Agriculture Technology team in Africa. And I'm glad that we have more than 100 people joining right now from all over the world and many parts of Africa at this stage. My name is Parmesh Shah. I'm the global lead for rural livelihoods, agriculture jobs, and digital agriculture now at the bank, at the Agriculture Global Practice. And we have a very interesting topic and a very interesting panel for us. And that invent creative solutions on these issues, how they are disrupting themselves. So I think the disruptors are getting disrupted and of service delivery during COVID. And this is a space which you have to watch. We are doing a global stock taking right now, and we have found that there are more than 150 solutions which have been either scaled up or tried during COVID. So the COVID has thrown up a lot of digital applications and discussions. And this seminar, today webinar is an opportunity to listen to some of the things there. Before I introduce the panelists, I would have some webinar etiquette. Mute you when you are not speaking, and all questions is not the way we do it face to face. You have to. As soon as there's something and you want to ask something, please put it in the chat box so that we get a good harvesting of questions. We will save time and then we will have the panelists to respond to that. So then let me introduce now our panel today. It is a great pleasure in introducing Nika Julius, founder and chief executive officer of Famunera. Welcome, Nika. And Famunera has been using mobile technology to source and deliver good quality farm inputs, extension service and market linkages to smallholder farmers in Uganda. And Famunera was one of the top 12 finalists in the Disruptive Agriculture Technology Innovation Challenge recently organized by World Bank and Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries in Kampala and in November. And Famunera has been at the forefront for the farmers, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. Our second presenter is our own Ji Kim, who's the agriculture economist in the World Bank's Agriculture Food Global Practice in the Africa region. And she has been working for quite some time on digitally enabled approaches to improve their agriculture projects. And she has also led the work on doing a study on disruptive and scalable technologies in Africa. And currently she is working with the Agriculture Cluster Development Project in Uganda, where she co-leads this work and is also really leading the work there on disruptive tech startups. So she will talk about the Uganda overall experience today. And both of them will talk for 20 minutes. We have new set of discussants because we lost some of our earlier discussants. So I think we have Ashish Prasan, who is our own Prasan, who is our agriculture economist in the World Bank. He's also a member of the Disruptive Agriculture Technology team in the World Bank, but also works on a number of operations in Comoros and many other countries and leads some operations there. We also have Rashid, who is Rashid Sebala, who is the information technology specialist in the Agriculture Cluster Development Program in Uganda. He will be the second discussant there. So without further ado, I will now ask Ji to kick us off. Over to you, Ji.
Thank you so much, Parmesh. Let me first, Vivek, do I have the ability to share?
Yes.
Okay, let me actually turn off this. So Okay, can someone confirm if the slide is up?
Yes, GI, go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Parmesh, for this intro. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the Disruptive Agriculture Technology Africa team, or DAT Africa team, and also the teams implementing and supervising the Agriculture Cluster Development Project in Uganda. So the Disruptive Agriculture Technology Africa team is in fact a large but a very close-knit um, team of people. And we have the commonality, which is our obsession of the disruptive ag tech technology. So what is disruptive agriculture tech? It can be a digital or non-digital solutions, but what makes them disruptive is that the impact that they have on agriculture challenges is not an incremental impact. It deserves the vocabulary disruptive. So think of a solutions that provide impact on productivity of 3 times, market volumes of 3 times and above, and things like that. And this is really the reason why we are hopeful and optimistic for even the most pessimists of you for the future of agriculture. And the trends are like this. The average cost of IoT sensors dropped by more than half, from $1.30 to 60 cents between 2004 and 2014. These prices are expected to lower more by 37% to 38 cents by 2020. With such slashes in prices of IoT sensors, most companies are now able to take advantage of this technology transformation unlike before. Alongside, we have cellular subscriptions trend that are skyrocketing across the world. For instance, in sub-Saharan Africa, there are 444 million unique mobile subscribers, which is 44% of the population, and 38% of the population had mobile broadband connectivity. From a mobile perspective, Sub-Saharan Africa has been the fastest growing region over the last 5 years in terms of both unique subscribers and connections. What do some of these trends have to do with agriculture, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. These are important trends because it removes cost barriers to entry for a lot of local agri-tech startups who oftentimes lack initial investment capital. The trends of mobile subscription and ownership are super important because the mobile phones are the #1 medium through which agtech startups deliver their products and services to last mile farmers. And with the lower digital device costs, young entrepreneurs can come in this space of agriculture development. And this graph shows the number of scalable agtech startups by their founding year. As you can see, there has been a spike in the number of DAT solutions in sub-Saharan Africa founded in the last 5 to 6 years. These DAT startups provide solutions to persistent agriculture challenges in the area of agriculture production, market linkages, data for agriculture, access to finance, and energy for agriculture, like solar. With their skin in the game, these enterprises are constantly customizing and optimizing their solutions to build business models that can survive and thrive when faced with deep sector challenges. Take, for example, an example of Uganda's ICT for Ag extension and also the soil care, which provides portable soil testers. These solutions provide these solution providers provide products and services to last mile farmers. And take the example of DigiCow in Kenya. They connect veterinary services to dairy farmers instantly by matching their demand and supply on the mobile app platform. So having a vibrant startup community is key in sectors like agriculture because the cost of failure to adapt is so steep. With their agility, startups have a competitive advantage in re-engineering themselves completely at high speed, which case in point is the Famunera that we will hear from momentarily. However, although we are showcasing the successful startups today, we cannot ignore the fact that the failure rate is so high also. According to Startup Africa, the average failure rate of African startups come at around 54.2%. But for agri-tech startups, we believe it's much higher. However, our portfolio review of the bank finance agriculture investment shows that about 76% of our projects in our portfolio offers digital and ICT solutions in our design embedded. And this, I think, is where we can partner with local entrepreneurs and agtech startups. Translated in dollar terms, the 76% of our portfolio comes at approximately $11.7 billion. And this is much, much more than the investment gap that we see in startup ecosystem in Africa. So consider partnering with these scalable DAT startups. Our operational portfolio provides well-defined and guaranteed market for them, which for them is a jackpot that saves duplicative investment in advertising, farm data collection, field testing, and consumer feedback. For us in return, their agility to deploy cutting-edge technologies is an opportunity to achieve our development goals and objectives more frequently, faster, and at greater scale. Recognizing these synergies, the Agriculture Cluster Development Project team embarked on a journey to identifying innovation partners by calling local agri-tech startups for applications to a challenge competition, first of its kind in Uganda, co-hosted by the bank and also the Ministry of Agriculture and Minister of ICT. So just briefly, what is the Agriculture Cluster Development Project? Briefly explained, it is a USD $150 million IDA investment in 5 value chains of coffee, cassava, maize, beans, and rice. And the main methodology of this project is in improving the productivity and marketability of these commodities by providing input subsidies to beneficiary farmers in the form of e-vouchers. And as you can guess, the implementation of the e-vouchers proved pretty difficult as the concept was new to many of our beneficiary farmers. And the existing environment of ICT and farmers' data, all these enabling infrastructure was not in place or well developed. So we thought local agri-tech startups in Uganda could help while expanding their businesses through the ACDP. So what we did, we called for application along the lines of our implementation challenges. And the reaction from the local startups was explosive. So here's how it happened. We called for applications. We received about 90 applications, but we had a very, very rigorous and steep qualification criteria. So only 26 were invited into an intensive one-day boot camp where the challenge criteria pertaining to the context and implementation challenge of our projects were discussed in depth so they could perfect their pitch for the pitch day. So on the day of the pitch, independent team of judge selected winners along our judging criteria, and 4 winners were selected and celebrated as the winner, but all the others participated in our DAT Innovation Challenge are invited as cohorts. You can say this whole process was pretty rigorous and indeed super competitive. Share with you here some photos to give you some feel of the day. We had high-level champions joining us at the stage, including the Honorable Minister of ICT, Frank K. Tumebazit. All our challengers, so these are the faces of the CEOs and the startups and young entrepreneurs. They gave us perfect pitch, which they perfected during the bootcamp. So much so that it made the jury session pretty intensive. Winners were celebrated and awarded with a demo check here, but their true reward is their preferred vendor status with our project. And to solidify their vendor status, the Minister of Agriculture of Uganda invited the winners of this challenge into a proof of concept workshop to clarify on the functionalities of their innovative apps, to identify the gaps in functions, and to draft together the terms of reference for their partnership within our project. So, as the winners and cohorts of the first DAT challenge in Uganda, the finalist DAT startups are now invited into a strong platform for scaling up innovation in the agri-food sector in Uganda. ACDP, our project, as their first proof of concept of this partnership with the World Bank. This is what the cohort startups can now leverage as the platform player. Through ACDP, they can leverage the size of our beneficiaries, which is 450K smallholder farmers, in 12 geographical clusters throughout the country, who receives overall 50% matching subsidies in the form of e-vouchers for improved inputs. All of this is leveraging $150 million IDA investment. And these are, and in terms of the farmland, each farmers dedicate 1 acre of their farmland for this project, so 450K acre of farmland. For startups, clearly identified and guaranteed market of this size is truly a strong platform for acceleration, you can say. And our vision is that we embed this kind of a model and integration process within the design of our future operations in other African countries, thereby reaching the scale of IDA investment in the sector in the Africa region. So just to recap and then to conclude, Vivek, can we mute the... Thank you. Slide, and then I'm just recapping and concluding here. For us, really, we believe the local ag-tech startups in sub-Saharan Africa is a force to be reckoned with. Their competitive advantage is in their agility, which we as the bank, with our size, we do not have. And the World Bank has a role to play when it comes to creating an enabling environment for these ag-tech startups. And it has to do with the scale of our investment and the knowledge base that we can provide, which can be a viable market for DATs to accelerate. And DAT Challenge, we hosted already twice, one in Kenya, one in Uganda, and we believe we proved the concept as a successful model. And there will be 2 more coming in pipeline in Africa. And the preferred vendor status that's given as the reward at the challenge is itself a public procurement tool, and it checks the World Bank's procurement rules of transparency, competition, and value for money. And by embedding DAT solution in our operational scope and environment further builds an innovation platform where we leverage our operation and policy work, which sends strong signals to other ecosystem players, including private sector players. So we believe if repeated, we can build economies of scale, which will be achieved by startups who have competitive edge in reaching the last mile. With their presence, we'll also be able to replicate bankable projects, reaching the development targets, achieving objectives. So far, I've shared with you how, given the trend and nature of local agtech startups, they should be factored in our work. The discussion of acceleration of DATs and agtech startups vis-a-vis our role is on the anvil. However, through this experience, we recognize one thing, and that's very clear to us, and that is we emphasize how bringing and mainstreaming innovation is crucial in our portfolio and our developmental work. However, we do not in ourselves have the agility and adaptability of the startups. And innovation without disruption only results in incremental improvement. When we embrace the local startups, like we did through the DAT challenge process, we indeed leverage on their agility, and in return, it accelerates their growth, which further enables last mile dissemination of disruptive ag technologies at a speed and scale that is innate in startups. In other words, unprecedented in our operations. So thank you for listening, and you will hear what I mean much more in detail through Famunera. Thank you.
Thank you, GI. Good for also finishing in time and laying down the whole perspective of why we are doing it, what we are doing, and how we are doing to create the ecosystem for disruptive and digital agriculture innovation systems in Uganda. And I think just to inform everyone that we have already done this in Kenya, and now we are doing it in Uganda, and we are trying to take this approach to Rwanda, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Senegal as well as we go forward. And I think that's why these initial things are very, very important. Now, I would request everyone that, as I've told you earlier, that please don't wait for presentations to finish. GI has already made a presentation. Start inputting your questions in the chat box, which will allow us to harvest all these questions, and we can spend more time if you ask the questions through chat on discussion and response from the panelists. So please don't hesitate and start asking questions through the chat box. That window is there. You have to realize that we will don't have enough time to raise your hand and ask questions. So please use the chat box and ask questions virtually, so that we promise you that we'll harvest all the questions there. Now, I think we will now go to our next presenter, Nika Julius, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Famunera, who is one of the innovators who has really shown how services can be delivered and during COVID and as well. And so I think it's a good kind of to learn also how these disruptive innovations are faring during the disruption itself. Over to you, Nika. 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes.
Hello, Vivek. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Vivek,
we can hear you clearly. Yes, please go ahead.
That's great. So hello everyone. My name is Naika Julius. I'm the founder and CEO at Famunera. Famunera is an agri-tech company that's leveraging mobile technology to source and provide last mile delivery in quality, affordable farm inputs, and also plus market linkages to smallholder farmers in Uganda. The problem currently we realized in COVID, and again it turned out to be an opportunity, actually a very, very big one, was that the problem that happened within this time was that supply chain, there was a supply chain challenge, especially when regarding to last mile delivery of farm inputs, and realized that over 3 million smallholder farmers be able to access genuine quality inputs due to social distancing policy plus restrictions in movements caused by the coronavirus pandemic. And with this, we decided to beyond what we had. And another challenge was that actually within the COVID time, more fake inputs rose up, and you realize that up to 30% of standard farm inputs on a regular basis, on a normal basis, is what is accounted in a market on a usual day. But when it came to COVID time, it actually shoot up to, I think, people ran out of stock, especially the local farm inputs dealers, and we used to have these calls, and people ran out. What they did was that the little they had, especially those chemicals, they would dilute 5 liter to make a 20 liter. So as they can be able to sell more and due also to the pressure of uncertainty. So
Vic, have you lost Naka?
Yeah, looks like.
Can you ask him
initially, you lost me on. Hello?
Naka, can you hear us? Yeah, we can hear you now. So you finished the fake problem of the fake inputs. Can you start after that? Yeah.
On this slide,
Yeah, we did this slide. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah,
here or up?
You've done this. Yeah, go to the next one. Yeah.
So I was saying that. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying that during this time of COVID, actually the fake inputs rose up in the market due to uncertainty of local farm inputs dealers, and also being that they couldn't easily be able to access or order for their inputs they couldn't come to the supplier headquarters to pick up, to their outlets to pick up their stock. So they could get 5 liters and dilute it to make 20 liters, so as they can be able to make more money and be able to keep in business for the long the business would have been operating when COVID gets down. Then you realize our nation is losing up to 1.5 billion in revenue as a result of this. So we realized that initially we only had a marketplace that could assist farmers within farmer groups and cooperatives, which was a web app or stroke a mobile application. It could work on a web platform as a cooperative, because normally cooperatives are a bit organized with computers in their offices. Then with smallholder farmers who are not really formalized, we could talk to a group leader and probably own a smartphone which they can all use as a group to order for inputs. But during the time of COVID, we realized that with social distancing, we realize that farmers should have something that they can use to order as individuals, what we call self-service. So we had to put our USSD shortcode out, and then we should have to roll out to our USSD platform so that the farmers can be able to independently order for inputs and we directly deliver to them without having to have them in groups like how it used to be in normal days without the COVID pandemic. So this was a challenge, coming together to discuss certain issues and probably order together. So with that, we had to innovate in that line of having them do self-service for ordering. And with this, we had initially, with our delivery system, we were using buses across all major routes of Uganda to deliver these inputs. I'm talking about insured bus companies, which we had partnerships with in all major routes, north, east, west, south. And we were following their route charts. However, with that, we realized that we had to switch gears during the COVID because the buses were put on a stop and it was only the trucks that were available. Quickly, we had to switch our gears to be able to enroll as many trucks as possible on our manual system of managing of delivery agents who are the truck drivers. So we had to roll out and recruit as many as possible of up to 56 trucks. As of today, we have up to 72. Two. So all these are people who are able to deliver farm inputs to last mile, whether it's in Zombo, in the deepest village there, whether it's in Bukwo, which is not even passable when it rains. We are making sure farmers can receive these farm inputs within 24 hours. So we don't need to wait for them to have groups, so individually they can order. How farmers order for farm inputs on Famunera as a marketplace? Farmer is able to have their small phone, and then they are able to dial code, and by dialing a code automatically, their number is collected by our system that's registration for us to make it very user friendly. So we don't need to ask for them for too much information because you realize most of them don't even can't read and write. So what we do is that immediately someone dials our code over USSD, they're able to be picked up. And then they're able to look through the menu, which is very obvious and user-friendly for even a basic non-tech savvy person. And then with this, a farmer is able to choose what they want. Normally, we have selected out a few items that we think that we have verified throughout the trends that they are mostly demanded by farmers in different regions of Uganda. And this farmer, for instance, picks out maize seeds, and they are able to order for that maize seed. And then they have an option of calling us directly on our landline, and then they are able to order for what they want verbally. And then we are able to take in this order and then be able to process it to the delivery section. And then within one day, we are able to use our truck to aggregate all the orders that were ordered within today. And then we aggregate them in tomorrow morning, early in the morning, we aggregate them because already suppliers have already received these notifications of the different orders that they have received on our platform as a marketplace. And then tomorrow by 9, we are able to find them when they are already packed from the different suppliers. And then we collect them within our van and then deliver them to our transport partners in the bus companies. Now, tomorrow, we are kicking off again with bus companies because they're opening tomorrow. Then initially, we've been using trucks on William Street, who are our agents of delivery, and others on Arua Park. And then they are able to be able to ship these things directly to their respective destinations in their offices. They have up country where farmers can easily walk and pick, or there are those who don't have offices in those districts up country, but what we do is that they can easily be able to dispatch these things to well-known radio stations in the remote areas where these farmers can be easily be communicated to come and pick their things within 24 hours. And the other thing is, from that, a farmer is able to, all the farmers are able to get free advisory support remotely, whichever on application of these farm inputs, spacing of their plants, how to apply different fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides and other inputs. And then from production, we assist them throughout the journey of production. And at the end, they are able to there is a time when they come at harvest and they need market for their produce. We have already enrolled different bulk buyers, for like food processors and exporters, plus local consumers, who are able to now take on these farmers' produce by linking them directly to these people who can be able to take on the job of consuming their produce in their factories. And for instance, Sesako, Mandela Millers, and Mukwano in upcountry, Lira, Lango region, Lira, that region of Lango area. So they're able to take on these people's produce after knowing that Famunera is readily available with these farmers. And with our mode of tracking farmers' inputs from inputs application up to the market, these food processors are very sure that the produce that is coming out is very of high quality, and because they can easily access farm inputs reports on Famunera and get to verify the quality of the farmer's produce. So sustainably, we've been able to keep in operation by being able to earn small margins of the sale of farm inputs to farmers, because we negotiate subsidized prices with manufacturers of inputs. And when we bring them on the marketplace to be listed or showcased, they are able to be showcased at also a minimum rate lower than the normal market rate that is sold by the local input shops. For instance, in Ibuko district, this region, that's the Bay region, Buko, Queenie, Kapchorwa. This region is well known for growing onions and Irish potatoes. So you realize on Famunera, down there in their local shops, they are being sold those seeds at 600,000 per kg. So with Famunera, this farmer is able to buy these seeds at only 380,000 a kg. So this farmer is saving 220,000 per kg, meaning this is enough money to take these farmers' kids to school, because down there people pay school fees of 50,000 Uganda shillings, and these are 4 kids taken to school, so they don't stay home. But this is all money that would have been engulfed by a local inputs dealer, because these farmers don't have that one person who can be able to save them the day of being exploited in prices. So, and also we are getting margins of selling them crop insurance. And how we get down to farmers, we're able to use local radio stations to reach out the information to the farmers about the availability of different products and at which prices. And social media, normally it's for those, a few farmers, especially those who are under cooperatives who can afford mobile phones, especially the cooperative heads and farmer group leaders, and referral programs from those who have really tested our products and services and verified that we can be able to do them the genuine quality delivery, and also mentor them throughout their production journey. TV is meant for a few, of course, that we use, especially the farmer group leaders who are normally, and cooperative heads who are stationed in probably town centers. But all those 4 channels get down to all the target market we're getting out to. The radios are able to get down to that last person. And our unit economics looks like that. We spend $2 to acquire 1 farmer, and we earn at least $100 per farmer throughout the season, which is 4 months on average. The market size looks like this. The total available market is 3 million smallholder farmers, and this was a report given in by FAO. And this community, the 85% of these are the smallholder farmers, of course, which is the 3 million, and they contribute to the largest population of the farming community in Uganda. 12% are medium and 3% is large scale. The serviceable available market is 65%, and who own feature mobile phones, which they can easily press small codes and access inputs. And as according to Mastercops, and the target market we are looking out within the next 3 to 5 years will be 26% of this. And these are going to be not just people we've served, but because by serving, we're going to have served up to 1.5 million farmers, and by reach out, we shall have reached out to 1.5 million farmers. But we shall have served 507,000 in the next 3 to 5 years. And the traction during the COVID period looks like this. We've been able to increase our inquiries to 100 because people are really desperate to have inputs delivered to their farms. And also, the traction also has been increased because most of the people who used to stay in towns like Kampala and other town centers, Wakiso, Mukono, they actually went back to villages, and meaning that number of people who are actually doing the farming increased. And so the demand for inputs also shoot up heavily. And also people had the time to cultivate more food so as to be able to secure their homes in terms of food. There was increase also in terms of farm input sales up to 120%, an increase in produce market linkages of up to 105 because also demand for food went up for food produce from farmers, and factories demanded for more materials to be able to process more food. And we've managed only within this time, in 3 months, we've been able to serve up to 2,000 plus farmers directly. And as farmers who used to be in farmer groups, farmers who used to be in cooperatives, we've served them at this scale. And also, we've been able to increase our inputs suppliers up to 30 plus, because initially we had 16. And verified agro producers also, we increased them from 8 to 20 plus. And the traction also continues as we've been able to create 50 plus jobs as farmers agents. 40% of these are females, and 36% also, 36.7%, we've saved this much from farmers from buying fake inputs and also from buying high prices. We've saved them by 36% in prices. If you do the math, you get 220,000 that we save the farmer on a kilo of onions. You divide by 600,000, which is the original price used to buy from the local inputs dealer. You multiply it by 100, you'll get 36.7, which is much money we're saving from the farmer from being exploited that much, especially during this COVID period. And this agent, as an individual, is able to earn up to 500K plus, and this is enough money to take on to cater for this agent during this time. And we also have agents who are mobile money agents, where farmers go easily and being assisted by mobile money agents to process orders for their farm inputs. And they're able to earn up to 750K per month. And within just this time, using TV, radio, local radio, social media, and all channels, we've been able to reach up to 100,000 farmers. So with this, what makes Famunera different from other agri-techs, actually, especially from the farm inputs dealers? Famunera does the planning for the farmer and also assists the farmer in saving for inputs, in that at the time when they need inputs, they're able to use to actually, we deliver those inputs that have saved for, and also during the planning for all the inputs they need. And this is not done by a local inputs dealer. So the farmer is also able to receive genuine quality farm inputs, which is not done by the local inputs dealer, because actually during this time the fake inputs rose up, and this was all, it got wrong at the level of the local inputs dealer. And affordability also, because we are saving 36.7 in prices from being exploited, and also convenient payment solution, the platform and on the marketplace, mobile money, and also professional farming advisory support is offered by our advisory team, and also last mile plus traceability from inputs up to when a guy like Mukwano, who's a food processor, is buying the farmer's produce. Where we want World Bank, MAIF, which is Ministry of Agriculture, and Famunera, where they can partner, we can partner in the area of automating and scaling this last mile delivery system, because it's currently manually manually processed because we haven't really been able to afford to automate it. However, if we can be able to automate it, it's going to be able to boost the delivery efficiency from 24 hours to same-day delivery. Then we can partner in the area of automating and scaling remote advisory support because we want to employ thousands of youth as agronomists and veterinary while working from home and offering veterinary and agronomy support to farmers. So this is the area we also would like to partner with World Bank and Ministry of Agriculture. Then also the other area is that we want to have traceability also boosted, of course, in the value chain using e-voucher system. We are ready to be able to partner in that area as well. And the last one, which is actually the biggest challenge, Famunera is willing to partner, is willing to work with the local inputs dealers to actually also assist them deliver inputs to them. But initially, when we piloted with 50 local inputs dealers, we had a challenge that they could dilute inputs, and also we supply them genuine quality from manufacturers, and then they would dilute these things to make these inputs to actually make more money, and also unpack quality seed and actually put in those seeds that are not really verified. And then this was a challenge. And when farmers used to complain in that pilot period, these people were actually pushing the blame to Famunera, saying Famunera is the one that actually is selling this, delivering us this. So what we decided is to hold on that pilot we had. We are piloting with those 50 farm inputs dealers, and we decided to take on a route of direct delivery to the local farmer. So we are looking to partner in that area to sensitize these rural agro dealers that look, you can save the farmers by not selling them fake inputs. And this is the area we are looking at. So currently our partners, we have the inputs manufacturers, the farmers, food processors, and others, Uganda National Farmers Federation, Farmers Association, Uganda, the delivery companies that are doing for us last mile delivery, who are listed on our delivery scheduler, the Startup Uganda, NSSF, Village. However, since we came out to be the first challenge, we hope that World Bank can consider us to be an official partner in this as well. And these are some of the customer testimonials from one of the inputs manufacturers. About what we have been doing for them, and trust one of your team would ever get time, we shall take you to these people and you'll hear what they have to say physically. That's if COVID ever gets to run out of, or we ever get run out of the pandemic. And Famunera and the SDGs, we are focusing on reducing and also by encouraging sustainable agriculture, because Uganda's land is arable by 80%, and 35% of this is only 35% has been cultivated, meaning there is still room to boost agriculture and end hand in different regions of Uganda. And gender equality, because we don't discriminate, we are everybody, whether it's a female or a male, and employing everybody as our agent, whether it's a female or a male, and we want to equate this in this area. The economic growth, because we are making sure that farmers can, wherever they are, social distance, and farm 24 hours. And if we boost it and make it more efficient, automate our system, we're going to be able to serve them within 1 day or same day. Responsible consumption and production, we are making sure farmers can plant and grow or even do livestock with the right inputs they need. We are actually boosting more of organic farming, advising farmers from leaving chemicals to organic. When you go in Wuko, Arua, you realize we've shifted the farmers' ideology from using chemicals that are really dangerous when it comes to consumers to using organic farm inputs. For instance, there is a product called Black Off, and it's good. It's 3-in-1, working as a pesticide, a fungicide, and also a fertilizer. It's saving the farmers cost, and as well, it's organic, and actually it's beating any product. As an example, and so many other products that we are trying to shift farmers to this can save the much they invest into farming, but while getting much yield out of it. This is our team. Personally, I'm the founder and CEO. I'm a degree holder in accounting and financial management. During my second year, I self-taught how to code, and that's how we managed to come out with our first prototype in 2016. I'm also a digital marketeer, an agronomist by experience, and a farmer. So Namanda Lydia is a co-admin and also a farmer. Maurice Uzana, chief agronomist, operations manager, is also a farmer with the experience in agronomy and also project management and operations. Here, Nathan is a chief is a chief of media and design. He's also a farmer. I am Joel is our CTO, is also a farmer. So we make sure, number one prerequisite to join our team, you should be a farmer. Why? We want you to, when you're making decisions for the farmers, you make sure you understand them from a perspective that you also a farmer. What you put yourself in their shoes, and you make the right decisions or the right innovations for them based on what you're facing as well as a farmer. So this boosts more innovation in our team, and really, this is why we've been able to even be able to survive during this time, and actually not only survive, but actually be able to serve on a wide scale to our fellow farmers across the country. So if you need to contact us, down there, those are my contacts, my email, plus my phone number, plus my social media links. Famunera's official links and also contacts are right there at the top. Thank you very much for your audience, and I wish and hope that the World Bank can be able to consider becoming our official partner in this journey of helping and assisting farmers to turn out to be not only smallholder farmers, but medium and one day large-scale farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Naika. I think this is a wonderful presentation. It shows that you have not only ridden the COVID crisis, but you have thrived in it. And I think it's a very good, encouraging sign of how entrepreneurship in Africa and the people who are working on these solutions. And I like that lesson is coming is that farmers should own the startup. Farmers can be better, founders of startups and owners of startups rather than be run by only techies, basically. So we need combination of all kinds of skills in a startup, and you're more nimble and agile. I like your aspiration of same-day delivery, as we have in e-commerce solutions. We get a lot of same-day delivery. We're not getting that in US also right now. A lot of big companies have floundered on that service promise during the crisis, and you are at least delivering in 24 hours fertilizers and other inputs at doorsteps. Very commendable. And I would now ask everyone else to also keep on asking questions. Questions are coming. Good questions are coming, but we need a little bit more by the time we come to the Q&A session. Now, I'm moving to our discussants. You have 5 minutes. Be very precise, because we want to spend more time on questions, because we already have a rich set of questions. I want GI and Julius to really respond to that. So Ashish, over to you now for your response.
Thank you, Parmesh. Yes, this is a very impressive presentation that we've got from Julius and, of course, our very own Jihe. So today I would like to focus my remarks on Famunera because, as you know, I'm part of the DAT Africa team and the Uganda ACDP teams. So I think it's better that I direct my remarks to Famunera. So just as Parmesh has already mentioned and Julius himself mentioned, Famunera is proving quite the opposite of what we've heard for the private sector. In 2020, we've often heard this is the time to survive, not thrive. But from the presentation we've heard today, Famunera is really proving that the opposite is possible. And so just to place this in a sort of global context, enterprises are being disrupted globally because of supply chains facing restrictions. And there's also a problem that often is reported is that they have insufficient cash reserves to survive these 3 months or 4 months, at least until now, that's the period of time, of a sort of self-induced economic coma. So this webinar really, allows us to get a sense of how a young, new agri-tech enterprise is adjusting to the new normal and doing well during this period. Of course, we in the bank, care about the types of services that Famunera is providing, the high quality farm inputs, extension services, market linkages. And so this is really an opportunity to understand how we can continue to do that in such challenging circumstances. So my set of remarks I'll just organize on the supply side and demand side for Famunera's business. So on the supply side, I was really pleased to hear that the business has pivoted so quickly from its model of delivery through buses to trucks, and has been able to organize new agents also to actually be able to do it during this period. But I also wanted to understand on the procurement side or the sourcing side for the business, how is Famunera being able to still source inputs which may be imported, given that there are border restrictions on truckers right now? Given that the model is focused on delivering genuine inputs, this supply might often be coming from neighboring countries. So how has that been ensured in this period is something I'd like to hear more about. The other is, Julius mentioned this in the presentation, that there is higher labor availability now in rural areas, which means labor has also become cheaper. So given that that's the case, is Famunera exploring any changes in how it potentially now has a larger pool of agents that it can hire and cheaper agents? So there is an opportunity to reduce costs, and this is a pool that may be retained in the future as well. So is that something that's been considered? And in terms of performance metrics, I wanted to understand, and Parmesh was hinting at this, that even in the US, marketplace companies or e-commerce companies have struggled to maintain their metrics. So for Famunera, has there been a change in the number of daily deliveries it has been able to make? Has it been able to maintain its promise of the 24-hour delivery period? And has it pivoted in terms of what it is prioritizing? So this is the planting season. Is it now, for example, prioritizing agro inputs over the collection side of the marketplace? So, so is the produce collection side now lower priority? Then just to shift to the demand side, we've seen a lot of projections within the bank and outside that agriculture is projected to be more resilient than other sectors to the COVID-19 shocks. mainly because rural areas are less dense, ag activities are socially distanced. So there is a real opportunity right now in the sector, given that it will be less impacted. So since that is the case, are we seeing, Julius mentioned there's now a higher demand for agro inputs because there are more people working on the farm. So is there also, so this is a case of, complements, the agricultural labor serving as complements to ag inputs. But potentially you could think also of agricultural labor being substitutes. So in cases like land preparation, has there been a change in demand? Has it become lower for the business? Then there is a set of questions around sort of the Amazon effect. Now, we've seen Amazon do extremely well through this crisis, mainly because in-person transactions have all shifted online. So are we seeing something like that as well in Uganda? So you mentioned that your agro input competitors, you tried to partner with them in the past in a pilot, but that did not work very well. Are they now approaching you more to partner, given that their model might be suffering more? And or is it the case that they are building their own e-commerce platforms? So it would be good to hear how the sector is changing on that front. And just a couple of questions on the World
Ashish, we
Bank
already have
support.
7 questions from you, and we have 9 from the audience. So it will be very difficult for us to cover all this. So if you
Okay.
don't mind, I'll move to what you call it, Rashid, and then we will add questions if we have time. Okay.
Okay. One last just point I'd make, Parmesh. On the World Bank support, I wanted to understand that on the remote advisory system that you mentioned, Julius, is there in the future, what is the technology and business model being envisioned? Is it SMS or IVR? And if that is the model, then how do you think about where the needs will be for new agronomists or staff? So that would be good to understand from the World Bank perspective. So I'll just stop there and then over to you, Parmesh.
Thank you, Ashish. So I'll go now to Rashid. Can you be, Rashid Sabella, can you be a little bit brief in terms of asking key questions to the presenters? And then I will move to the audience because audience would like to hear answers to their questions here. Okay, over to you, Rashid.
Well, thank you, Pamesh, and thanks, GH, for the collaborative score into the DATS for Uganda. Personally, I just have a few remarks. And firstly, I want to thank Julius for the resilience, because Julius participated in the DATS, but he didn't end up with a solution that would have loved to uptake. But he kept on going, and he's moved himself this far. Personally, I love this concept of the DATS. It's new to Uganda, and I think if we had employed it in the earlier projects, like under ATAS, we have ATAS project in Uganda, and it was required to as well implement some information systems. But this conventional method used, the procurement methods we usually use to get the systems on board really take long, and most of the time you will get people with low competences. They will not give you the product that you want. Now the DATS opened us to a new concept in securing solutions like this. We had people display their solutions, and they were supposed to be market tested. So for us to select you, you must have had something going on. So it was easy for us to select the persons that had something in the direction we wanted and to build on that. It becomes a lot easy than taking 6 months into the procurement process and then maybe another 6 months into development. By the time you have an application to implement, the project life has gone. So if such approaches are used in the delivery of information systems in the World Bank funded projects, I think we shall go a long way into transforming the sector. And especially so with the internet usage, for example, in Uganda, it's growing at a supersonic speed. Since from 2008, from 2 million to now 18 million, that is a great shift of users to users of internet. And with, of course, the COVID that has come in, it has opened people to other ways of transacting and doing business. So I think that is a very good approach. The challenge gave chance to the young startups who would otherwise not even have a chance to compete because of the requirements being stingy, being very strict, the requirements to compete in an open bidding process. We want your turnover requirements to be so high. Startups don't have this. If they have the capacity to develop systems that can deliver the services that we want. So for me, that's opened me to a whole new concept that I fully trust in, and I would really recommend to use for future implementation of ICTs, because you're almost buying an off product, as opposed to when you develop a term of reference, it can always be interpreted differently by the developer, hence giving you a different product from the requirement. This is the problems we've had with the e-voucher taking. It was the first of its region, and the concept or the TOR was not well conceptualized by the developers, and we've had lots of challenges with the implementation of that product. So for me, I think that is the way to go, and I think the bank should introduce some kind of an annual DATS challenge, something that keeps this momentum up and going. We need to keep these innovators up on the board all the time, to innovate for the sector, creating and modifying the existing solutions to support the sector. But when you bring it just for a one-time need, like we had the specific challenges that were identified in the ACDP and solutions identified for them. So then what happens after these solutions are uptaken? Then that means the whole point of supporting the startups ends there. But we need to create a way of having a continuous, evolvement of innovation in ICTs for agriculture. And maybe the bank should critically think about introduction of a new challenge, and maybe things can be, given to innovators, and they go into, crafting the solutions through the themes that would have been identified. So and Naif also has, we have worked with these startups. Since the DATS, we have not dropped all of them. We needed only 4 solutions, but we've found ourselves almost needing everything that came up in the competition. We are pursuing the presenters of the source solution because it was unique in nature, and we are giving fertilizer as an input, as a farm input, yet we do not have farmers test their soils or do soil analysis to know the requirements for their soil. So we are taking up solutions like that we got to see well within the challenge. And we're also supporting these the startups. Like now we are building the market system, and that will create the demand for the produce, and thus people like Julius will be able to get market for their inputs, because now the demand for the produce will have been created. The challenge we've had, that keeps people going out of agriculture, is because of the lack of steady markets. Markets are there, but they're not known where they are. So we are crafting this platform that we obtained through the DATS to make sure we have a linkage where the buyers and the sellers meet. So when the demand is created, obviously inputs will be needed, produce is there, off-takers are there. So I'm thinking that there's going to be a huge shift from the way business is done within the sector. And this all because of the DATS. I really liked the concept because it delivers us to where we're going in a very short period of time. I think those are a few remarks I would like to add onto what Jihi and Julius has presented. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Rashid, and your perspective. And I think it's good that we are getting to hear from the project perspective and the government perspective on what they see as the future of these kinds of approaches as we move forward. And good suggestion. Just like to let you know that we will do a COVID challenge very soon on all the innovators which have worked during COVID. And what I can tell you is from the Kenya experience is that we have brought in 7 new challengers who have performed better during COVID than the original winners into the cohort. I'm quite, the question I had for GI is, why didn't you get your winner? What is your winner doing right now, actually during COVID? So it means that some of the people who you didn't think would do well are doing better. And this is our experience in Kenya as well. And I think the point Rashid made was that we need to really be very nimble about it. And that's why the concept of a cohort as opposed to winners is very, very important. Because once you have participated, you have been vetted quite significantly, and we should be very flexible in terms of bringing more people into the platform as we go forward. So very good points, Rashid, and I think very good feedback for us as World Bank as well. Now I'll move to the audience questions. And so I have seen the questions. There are clarification questions about the model itself, the approach, and there is a question for Jihai, which I'll start with because specific to her. And then I'll go to, because since most of other questions are for Julius, so I'll shift to Julius after that. So GI, the question for you is that, is there a divide on the use of these digital solutions among the end users? How are you tackling this in Uganda? So it means that the end users, some are able to adopt, are the people, how are the end users classified, the people who are adopting these solutions?
Yes, thank you, Parmesh. I really thank also our audience for this question. So I get the divide meaning here in terms of the differences in adoption of the technology. So our strategy and through these DAT, through the partnership with the startups also, to increase the adoption rate and then, narrow the gap between this divide is really bringing farmers together in a group. So in a group setting and by also supporting farmers to federate and then build an association, they will adopt, as you say, good behaviors, right? Acquiring improved inputs and also getting advisory services. So there is a peer sort of a effect here, assimilation and then emulation of the good behaviors of, leveraging the technologies and then these kind of products and services. Of course, it's not going to be, solving this adoption divide problem overnight, but we see as farmers get together for example, in ACDP, farmers do have to come together and in a group, because these are the criteria for you to become the beneficiaries of the ACDP, who receives the input subsidies through the e-vouchers and also the matching grant for your post-harvest activities. And you do receive these as a group, not just as an individual farmer. And therefore, we encourage them to get together and then narrow the gap of this kind of divide. I don't know if that was really the sense of the question, but yeah, that's our strategy. And then,
very good. I think that was the question. So I think you answered it very, very adequately. Now I'll shift to Julius, because I think he has many questions to answer. Julius, will you be noting down the questions or should I take 3 at a time? Please let me know. Is Julius online? Can someone confirm?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay. So one of the questions is from a fellow startup in Kenya, which is Samuel Munguti, who is the CEO of Farmers Pride, which is exactly in the same business as you in a way. He's asking a question that how do you manage to, ensure that you are able to aggregate demand and then deliver it in 24 hours? How do you aggregate the demand from so many sources? How do you consolidate orders for different routes within 24 hours, that knowing that the farmers are scattered, and what percentage of agricultural orders are not delivered due to low aggregated tonnage. So it's how do you aggregate the demand and how do you meet it through a logistic solution? So give a little bit more granularity on that. And I'll take another question also. Is that what type of markets, wholesalers, retailers, consolidators do you link your farmers to? Do you also link farmers directly to final consumers or households? And then similarly, a clarification question, do you set the farm gate prices of the produce, or do you let the farmers set their selling price? What are the sources of the price information of the price setter? Can you take these questions first, and then I'll come with the second set of questions? Can you be a little bit brief in your response so that I can take more questions? Thank you. Over to you, Julius.
Okay, so starting with the first one, how do we aggregate demand, especially from somewhere? So that what happens is that I'll give you an example of Bukwo district. Just one district alone, even if you are one farmer who has ordered a quarter of seeds, a quarter of seeds, or a kilo, we okay. Because you are hundreds that are ordering at the same time from the same region, Sebei region, Bukwo, Kapchorwa, and Queenie, we take in the orders, even if it's an individual order. But as we aggregate the entire orders for a day, remember, we are shipping them, we are delivering them tomorrow morning. So meaning by the time a day closes, however much they are coming from individuals, they are already, if you put them together, they're already making sense from that same area. So economically, they are making already sense. So you realize that once we ship them the next morning to their respective destination, they are able to be also put on the same area, on a confined area that is very accessible by everyone. For instance, in Bukwo, when we deliver those inputs, we are able to deliver them on a radio called 9 radio. And also other areas that are well known, the towns that are well known. So like 3 areas within Bukwo, you realize that all farmers can come with their and then they collect whatever they needed to collect from that area. From a chairman in one of the within a sub-county, then another sub-county at the chairman level, plus one from 9 radio. So all orders can be collected by the farmers from their respective destinations, as long as we communicate to them where they should find their orders. So that's what we do in that area. Then when it comes to what type of market do we link to the farmers, even do we have we been able to actually also consider supplying the consumers home? Yes, our market currently, from farmers, the produce goes directly to feed the food processors. Why? We want people like Mukwano, Mandela, Sesako, Aponye, grain millers to continue processing and feeding the nation. That's why we targeted those people, because if they lack raw materials, less is going to be value added, so as to keep it as flour to be consumed by the population that's growing every day in Uganda. And secondly, especially within the lockdown, when people are idle and feeding every day. So these are the people we target. And secondly, exporters, because we also need to feed our neighbors and also feed our brothers and sisters on the international market who need this food, where it's not really grown as it's grown here in Uganda. So the other thing is, when it comes to home consumers, yes, during the COVID period, we actually put up a simple shop on our platform just to cater for home people. Why? It's not a business we are looking into scaling. No, we just wanted to be able to assist and help other innovations that are already within the space of delivering food, who couldn't be able to be able to take on all the orders during this time, because there were too many. And also we saw this as an opportunity to keep us also engaged within this area. So we put up a small thing called groceries. If you can check on our site, it's still even available. Groceries, and under agro produce, there is a subcategory called groceries. So we've been picking now these groceries directly from the food processors, whom we're already feeding the produce from farmers. So you realize that also we used to pick some products from Sesako and be able to push them down to homes on their doorsteps. So this is what we did during this COVID. But outside COVID, when it gets okay, so we won't be pushing this on a scale because it's not something we want to focus on feeding farmers in inputs and also assisting them push their produce to food processors and exporters and other consumers. So this is what we've been doing. And yes, and when it comes to a question, I think there is a question. Oh, let me just wait for you to shoot me other questions. And when I get time, there is a first gentleman who asked me 4 questions. Maybe I'll get time to answer them as well. Hello.
Parmesh?
I'm muted. Thanks for the feedback. So what I feel, there is another set of questions which I will now read out. I think one also is that there will be a strong need for ensuring quality and preventing food fraud. Have you found a digital solution for this? That's one. And the second is that.
Sorry, repeat that.
So what it says is that there is a lot of fraud and other things going on for quality and preventing food fraud or adulteration, during right now. So have you found a digital solution for that, for food quality and all those things? And the second question is, what do you think will be the barriers to continue the success you have found during this period? Will once the COVID crisis is over, you think you will build on successes achieved and even grow faster? And what will be your strategy? Or you think there are some things are happening because people are very desperate due to COVID and they will revert to their original behavior after the COVID? That's the second question. And then final question is also, which I will just park there for you, is that there are a lot of people who are not organized, who are not members of the group. And how do you reach out to these farmers? So I will stop there and let you respond to this set of questions.
Okay. Kicking off with how do we reach out to the farmers who are not in groups and unorganized? Yes. So what we do actually with farmers who are not in farmer groups and unorganized farmers, whom would assume as they are independent farmers. This is exactly why we decided to roll out our USSD platform and our USSD so that it is self-service. So that this farmer, because of the social distancing, not only because they were not in groups, but even those who were in groups, because of social distancing caused by the pandemic and also restrictions movement, you realize every farmer actually, most of the farmers, apart from a few, turned out to be independent farmers within this time. And they needed to order their inputs as independents. And that's where the USSD platform comes in, because number one, it doesn't use internet. Number two, it doesn't require you to have a bit inexpensive phone like a smartphone. So all you do is to dial your code, and if you can't have one, you can ask from a neighbor just on your neighborhood. That's not crowding. It's just a neighbor, one person, to assist you, type a code, and be able to place your order with Famunera, or be able to call us directly using our number that's well known to these people, because we keep sharing it on their local radio stations down there. So that way, we were able to serve those farmers who were actually also distanced by the pandemic, plus those who were not even organized in group before even the pandemic. And this is how we've managed to be able to serve them. The other question is how are we looking at at mitigating fraud in food produce and fraud in food production and quality. Yes, this is the reason why, if at all a farmer doesn't source for inputs on Famunera, we can't assist them to link them to our verified food bulk of takers. However, we've been able to flex a bit. Why? Because most of the farmer, it caught them unaware, and you can't blame them because probably they didn't know about this service that Famunera is offering. But in our standards are the farmer, but we manage to flex and be able to be a bit lenient as long as the off-takers can be able to check the quality at the time when they are taking it. However, in our usual operations, we encourage farmers to source for inputs from Famunera. Why? Because we are able to trace and also advise them on the right inputs they are using. I'll give you an example. We've had farmers requesting for certain brands of inputs, chemicals. Most of them are chemicals, which are not organic. We have no problem with probably a few inorganic products, but there are those that are actually were banned on the international market. And you realize that they have been smuggled in by some local inputs dealers. And they actually, if you check on the MAIF, Minister of Agriculture's blacklist, they're already blacklisted. And you realize that they're actually in the chain. So what we do is that if a farmer who didn't know, who wasn't aware that this was banned on the market, or was using it, or they're actually also using a product but in a wrong way, we get to advise them at that point when they're ordering for it and tell them, look, we just don't care about selling you the inputs, but we care about the produce, the quality of the produce you're going to produce at the end of the day. So what we do is we advise you right away from there that that product was banned on the market, or actually you shouldn't use this product because you won't get the right produce you need. And then maybe the better way to save in the amount of money you spend on inputs, because we've had farmers who buy fertilizers, who buy pesticides, who buy also fungicide as differently, and they are spending so much. But we have certain solutions that we know that can be able to mitigate provide double solutions for particular products as a pesticide, as a fungicide, and as a fertilizer. So, and yet they are also organic. And why wouldn't we advise a farmer to take on this? So with this traceability, we've been able to have these farmers in the right way to avoid having them produce poor quality produce. And the off-takers are also able to know that I'm buying from this farmer, the produce, this is the inputs report for this gentleman or this lady who's going to sell me this produce, because I can easily be able to find it on Famunera because the record is available on Famunera, which inputs they have been buying throughout their production journey within the season. So this is the only way we've been able to mitigate that area. Then the third question is, how are we looking at what are the barriers we see after the lockdown or after COVID pandemic it comes to an end, where people will have access to each and everything like how it used to be? Yes, I'm telling you this. The barriers that we are looking at, of course, number one is having people going back to the old ways of ordering for their inputs. Maybe a few people, of course, the percentage will be small. That one I'm very sure. The percentage will be small. And the few who actually go back to the old ways, number one, they are probably too desperate to actually go to one of the people who used to borrow them inputs so that they can be able to produce and pay back this person towards harvest time, because they couldn't be able to afford upfront payments for inputs on Famunera. And this is why because we also as Famunera, we don't have the capacity to assist these farmers with free inputs and probably credit inputs. That's why we came up with a savings solution, so that they can, when they sell off, let them save part of this money for future inputs for the next season or for the next purchase of inputs. so that we still operate because we are not in debts with them. Secondly, they are able to also not spend that money unwisely that they receive after selling off their produce. There is this solution of savings on Famunera, which we call it Famunera wallet, which you can save little by little, and then with time when you need inputs for the next season, you can easily be able to use those savings on Famunera to now order for the inputs that fit within those savings. And with the partnership, maybe with MyIF and World Bank, we can be able to be in position to now also provide this credit part of inputs, because as a private operating company, we can't afford this if at all we are not supported in that way. If at all our pool of credit is not supported. So we have been able to, this is the only area I see for those few farmers who will be able to go back to that old way of doing. But with other areas other areas are just green lights. When it comes to delivery, more people are registering on our platform and getting verified to provide last mile. And I tell you what, when things get back to normal, Famunera is recruiting not only buses and trucks, we're going to be recruiting independent car drivers. If you're moving from Kampala and heading to north, why not make a few bucks of delivery from Famunera by delivering certain inputs to a farmer who has requested for his inputs that side that you're heading to? So in that way, we shall be able to even create more income earning opportunities for even other players within who are in transport. We let it be independent car drivers, independent car owners, and others. So even other areas are really just green light. Those who have tested our services with genuine quality and low prices, they'll trust me, they will be able to stick around, unless if we disappoint them in some way, of which that's not going to happen. And the other thing, when it comes to advisor support, we are rolling out on a large scale. How we are going to recruit remote advisory support service providers. People are going to work from home on all districts of Uganda, providing genuine and professional advisory support to farmers across the country. And this is what we are looking at. And people are going to be able to stick around to even get more benefits from our service that we're going to be pushing out to them, and new innovations that are in a pipeline. So that's how we.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very, very comprehensive answer, and clearly you have so many ideas. You're bubbling with them, and you're bringing the logistic solutions more centrally into your design. And I think this is happening in US also, that all the big stores are delivering through Uber cars right now. And so all the deliveries not happening through trucks, it's happening through cars. This is the way the things are happening. And there are a new set of people who have come into the logistics business. And I think you are really looking at the latency in the current models and trying to use them. You are very nimble and agile there. And I think there are many other questions, but what we will do is that we will curate all these questions and have it sent out to you so that you can respond in a virtual way. And we are going to share the presentation and the recording of this session, and also the curated Q&A along to all the people who have registered for the session. I think I thank all the participants for asking great questions. I think very thought-provoking questions. I've been able to incorporate most of them, but not all of them. But I think we will get your questions to Julius and then get his curated answers to that. And I think, Julius, you raised very good questions about World Bank collaboration. I can promise you that we will look at that very seriously. I think you are asking about the advisory, you are asking about the platform, you're asking about the credit part, and a lot of questions you have raised. And I think we have to discuss this. And Uganda team is already looking at a next phase of work on it. A lot of inputs which you have given are going to be very useful for us to design the next phase of this program. And I think we strongly value the work you are doing. And I hope we are able to find a way to involve you in the cohort and develop some arrangements. I just would like to sort of announce a couple of things for future. We are going to run a COVID digital challenge, especially to identify people who have performed well during COVID, so that we can source these solutions both as certified solutions with the World Bank, but also then find a window by which we are able to provide them support to scale up the models which are developed, because these are more resilient models there. The second one is that we are working with Gates Foundation to assess evidence of how these models have performed. And I definitely would encourage the Gates team to come to you and look at your solution, and so that you are part of that evidence base we are creating to do that. I want to announce the next webinar on Wednesday, 10th. We had launched a global challenge, but it was focused on Southern Africa. It was on agricultural risk innovation, basically looking at data and innovation to look at the agricultural risk and how innovative startups had dealt with that. The winners are already announced, and on 10th, we will have the winners of that challenge presenting their solutions on 10th. So look out for this space. It will be advertised today, and we look forward to your continued active participation in this. I would like to thank all the presenters, Jihai and Nakia, and the two discussants, Rashid and Ashish, for their valuable contributions and insights, and also to the organizing team, including Akanksha and Vivek, for really, doing this in a very kind of an, seamless kind of way. And I'm sure when this is circulated, there will be a huge interest in people getting in touch with you there. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.